the other stuff we're doing, so that's my old boss, Sheila Fraser, is on the board of directors. On our board, among the people on our board of directors is that's the founder of Wired magazine from San Francisco, and others. So we brought a whole bunch of different perspectives on this, and you can only imagine the scientists that have actually been doing this for 27 years having a discussion with the founder of Wired magazine. It's just, you could film this. It's really, really interesting. But what we've also done is brought many of the scientists of the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, who are really great people. I mean, really inspiring and really wonderful to work with, and I feel proud to be colleagues with them. And what they've done is doing a couple things. So one is, I think the communities outside of the experimental lakes area in Kenora and elsewhere had very little idea what was going on there for the 45 years. They had never gone on site. They didn't have a sense of what was happening. And we've now, in the last year, a year and a half, we've had almost 15,000 visits of people that come to the site. And those have included the 6 First Nations that are around the experimental lakes area. We brought in high school kids. We've done now something I'm really proud of, which is doing on training for young Aboriginal students coming out of Winnipeg, colleges and elsewhere. And so this is sort of what we view as, sort of a way that Experimental Lakes continues its work, but also that we can do it a little differently. And the other area, that's an example. We had all these high school students come in. They stayed there for 3 days. It was really wonderful. And they just got a sense about what is the type of work that they do. And I hope that of that class of 20, maybe 2 will go on and want to become, water scientists. And then that is, you can't see it very well there, but there's been a filmmaker who's done now, I think a film that will be coming out later this year, and that's with one of the First Nations in the region, and there's rock paintings within one of the lakes which have been there for centuries. And so they went to film, and this was the first time that these peoples from this First Nation actually were formally invited on site, because you needed permission to do it because it's a controlled area. And so this is the first time they came together, and so there's this wonderful film where they're showing us these traditional paintings, and we're asking them questions about what it means and what it means to them. So the last one, and this will be a transition quickly to the next one, which is the film, it's that film that they're doing on climate change.
Did you hire the same scientists who had been there?
Yeah, part of that negotiation for the 11 months was we asked which of the DFO scientists would be interested in staying and continuing their careers with working with experimental lakes, and about half of them came to us. They resigned from the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, and they've been there ever since. So for those of you, Mike Patterson is the chief scientist there, Scott Higgins and Mark Rennie and others. So the other area I wanted to mention was this is a terrible graph. I apologize. It's from Nature, and it's come out just last month. I think sort of the big finding from this, and there's a reference for those of you who are interested, but the big finding is, scientists have known now for a long time within oceanic observations that the simple assumption that the biggest impact of climate change is going to be on water. It's going to be on our hydrological systems. And the simplified, stylized interpretation of that is that wetter places will become even more wet, and drier places will become more dry. And so extreme weather events like hurricanes for wetter extreme events, and also the prolonged drought, which we're seeing, for example, throughout Canada, West Coast. Jerry Brown, California, has permanently introduced water rationing in California after a 5-year drought. An epicenter of global change impacts has been in the Colorado River Basin. And so that observation about oceanic observations with this, and there's other articles, but this one has provided more evidence that that observation also holds true for our terrestrial system. So similarly in the Ottawa Valley, that premise will actually hold true here as well. So within that, next slide please, I just, we could talk about climate change for a long time, but I just wanted to reference again the work of Government of Canada, and in this case through Natural Resources Canada. So Don Lehman is one of the scientists at Natural Resources Canada. Does amazing work, and they did a 2008 report on impacts to adaptation. And it was basically shelved by the government. They didn't want to release it. They released it on a Friday afternoon, and you couldn't find it on the NRCan website. So it just reminds you of just the old days were really tough going. But to the credit of the previous government, what they did do was ask for an update of that. And so Lehman and colleagues released a 2014 report, and it's worth looking at. It's accessible. It's written, by scientists, but not exclusively for scientists. This gives you some sense of the order of economic magnitude of climate change just in the last couple of years, basically in the last 10 or 15 years. I mean, Canada is lucky compared to other countries like India or Brazil or elsewhere, but we're facing billions of dollars in events which we have never seen before. So,
is the insurance industry helping to pay for any of this research?
The insurance industry and the reinsurance industry are paying for different. There's a center, I think, in Waterloo on this Canadian Center of Catastrophic Loss, and they've been looking a lot at what the impacts are of climate change on, the Calgary flood, the Toronto flood, and then the current designs of infrastructure and its resilience to withstand these sudden events. So, and we know that these aren't one-off. The 1 in 100-year events are now becoming 1 in every 10 years. And the insurance industry are doing the numbers, and they're profoundly worried about what this means. But to next slide, please. But the reason I reference this is because among the work that they've done is just looking at what it's going to mean for our hydrological systems, what's going to mean for the Ottawa River, what does it mean for this river basin, and what you will see then is, what I recall, anyways, you can see right now at the national level, the increases in precipitation with the exception of southern Canada, where a decline in summer and fall suggested. So, and then also then heavy precipitation in areas which are already risk prone with extreme flooding. Then overall stream flows will change in southern Canada. Snow cover will decrease again in southern Canada, and snow depth again in southern Canada is expected to increase. So these hydrological changes in terms of what does it mean for the flow of our rivers are really profound.